Hi, now we're going to do sampling distribution of sample means. So I gave you guys a survey some time ago. How many pairs of shoes do you own? Your mean was 9.4 pairs of shoes and your standard deviation was 8.71. So then I went to Google and I Googled how many pairs of shoes does a typical American own. There's a lot of different answers, but they usually ended up around 19 per person if we don't separate out men and women, which we did not. So for Pomona, how does Pomona compare? So the population average is 19. The average of the sample of 54 people should also be 19 pairs of shoes. So standard deviation, we would typically take the standard deviation of the population and divide it by the square root of the number, but we don't have this number. So we're just going to assume that it's the same as our sample, which was 8.71 for our purposes. And if you need to do the same thing, you can. So this was the population one, which we don't have. Sometimes it's kind of hard to find. So looking at Pomona's average, the national average was 19 pairs per person. Pomona has 9.4. Is it unusual to have 9.4 pairs of shoes or less? So we're looking for the probability that X is less than 9.4. All right, so we need a z-score. So Pomona's was 9.4 minus the national average of 19 divided by our standard deviation of our sample that we're going to use, which is 8.71. There is a better way to do this, which we are going to discover in this unit. 9.4 minus 19 equals divided by 8.71 equals, and we have negative 1.10. So going to our table A, we have negative 1.10 is 1357. All right. So we would expect out of any given sample of 54 people, about 13.57% of them are going to be 9.4 shoes or less. So we are comparing 13.57% is greater than 5%. So while we're finding it kind of low, it's really not falling into that weirdly unusual range. So we have conclusive evidence that Pomona's average pairs of shoes is completely regular and expected, and we're not weird. And there we go.